You're listening to episode 55 with Dr. Jason Piken.
And I really truly believe that any single chronic problem that I see, and that's usually what I see walking into my office, is a combination of gut and brain dysfunction.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hand, and welcome to the Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we dive into what makes an awesome lifestyle. From relationships to money mindset, nutrition to fitness, emotional health to peak performance, we bring you on an amazing journey to unleashing your human potential. So here's a little bit about Dr. Jason Piken. He's a certified nutritional specialist specializing in the health of the whole person. His expertise is finding the correct blend of foods, lifestyle changes, and nutritional support needed to help his patients achieve their health goals. Dr. Piken has seen thousands of patients with digestive issues, chronic pain, anxiety, sugar metabolism, and autoimmune conditions. His approach is to address the habits that will help get you healthy. Dr. Piken is also a chiropractor and a practitioner of applied kinesiology. He has been in practice since 1996, and in his book, Better, 11 Simple Habits to Improve Your Life, he outlines his approach to healthcare and the report card method he uses to get you better. So here's Dr. Jason Piken. Welcome, everybody, to Lifestyle Locker Radio. Again, in the locker room, we have Dr. Jason Piken.
Thanks, Josh.
Welcome, buddy. So we're gonna kind of be friends here on the line today. We're gonna talk to each other by first name basis. So we have two different names, so it'll be easy to understand us, right? So, Jason, everybody's got a story. Everybody has something in their life that led them to where they are today. I know you have a lot of neat things going on in your practice, in both of your practices, I should say, and in life. So give us a little bit about your background. I want people to know who you are.
So I guess the easiest way of talking about my background is talking about my beliefs. And I really truly believe that any single chronic problem that I see, and that's usually what I see walking into my office, is a combination of gut and brain dysfunction. And how I came to realize that is kind of replaying my whole life story. So I'm born in the 70s in Queens. My mom had no clue she was supposed to breastfeed me. So I went right to the bottle. You don't get your first inoculation of gut health and immune system from your parents that way. Yes. So I started off at a disadvantage. I had a lot of ear infections as a little kid, so I had tons of antibiotics. I didn't grow up lucky like you, having a chiropractor or parent, so I just got antibiotics. I remember my pediatrician trying to give me yogurt pills, he called them.
Yogurt pills.
But I don't think I even took them. So more insult to the gut. And I wound up with, poop issues, constipation. We don't have to get into that. Yeah. I developed I became a really, really picky eater. Like I ate 15 things and that was it. And when I started off eating everything, so something changed. I developed a lot of seasonal allergies, like bad ones. Like I couldn't play with my friends because I'd be sniffling and sneezing and wiping my nose and they'd all be having fun. And I developed psoriasis, dandruff, really bad acne. Now, horrendous acne where it's like a beard and mustache full of pimples, which all these things kind of affect how the world sees you and how you see yourself as this not necessarily sickly little kid, but not as confident. And it shapes your brain. It shapes, who you are. And I think all these problems and the issues that never got resolved through medicine is probably what led me to go to chiropractic college. I wound up there. And I learned about the power of the body's ability to heal itself, which was amazing. And I became a healthier person because of it, which was fantastic. Yet a year into chiropractic college, I'm hit with something new, acid reflux. And I felt kind of like a fraud because I'm this health doctor. I had other issues that we won't get into. It's another thing from bad car accidents. But I developed acid reflux. And at the same time, I actually met this girl that was going to become my wife. And she had horrendous IBS. Now, I didn't know this at first. It's not like I'm Stacy, I have IBS, and it didn't start like that.
Not dating conversation, right?
No. We had a fantastic 3 months. We're in our early 20s. We're partying. We're going out and drinking and hanging out with our friends. And all of a sudden, 3 months into it, she gets comfortable, and it stops. All of a sudden, she's like, "No, let's stay home." let's just, stay inside and not, go out so much. And we kept changing plans, and that bothered me a little bit because I was like, what happened to the fun? And what she eventually told me when she felt comfortable enough is that she was almost always uncomfortable. She used to poop like once a week, max. She was always bloated and full feeling. And between her discomfort and my reflux that was developing, that I didn't think was that big of a deal at the time, but I realized, you know what, I got to learn more and expand my knowledge. And as I became a nutritionist and started learning about gut health and its connection to the brain, what I realized is the problems that we were both dealing with that were, let's say, manageable, would only get worse if we didn't really truly dive in and address them. And that's what I've committed my life to since.
All right. So from crisis to creation, it sounds like.
Yes.
Which is
kind
always
of like everybody's story.
Yeah, but it's an amazing, those types of stories I think are the best stories. I know, and everybody I've spoken to on the podcast and in the professional world outside of the, the online world, there's always something. It's, it's like, I'm so grateful for my IBS. I was so grateful for my near-death experience. I was so grateful for this. And you just listen and go, holy cow. I mean, but everybody comes out the end of the tunnel that decides they want to, like a much better, more powerful person that can teach the world. And I think that's where, you've come. Right? Yeah.
And I'll reinforce that with the people that choose to do that.
Yes.
Because I'm sure we both encounter people that choose a different path. And it's unfortunate because it's always a choice after a trauma.
Oh, yeah.
So I applaud everybody that turns it into something.
Exactly. So now we got your story, which I think is neat. Now people know who you are. We know who Jason is. This is really cool. And your wife, a little bit. Right?
A little bit.
A little bit. So you have this really cool book out called, Better 11 Simple Habits to Improve Your Life. I want you to kind of touch on that in a little bit. You don't have to give all 11 habits. All right. I won't people can get the book. And we're going to put all this stuff in the show notes, everybody. So, we'll give the forward thinking here. So it's going to be lifestylelocker.com/Jason Piken. That's what the link will be. All right. So you can get all of his details there. So talk to us about some of these habits that you use with your practice members, your patients to help improve life.
Well, what it really is about is the habits that everybody knows, but doesn't necessarily do. The book is not rocket science because the reason I wrote the book was because I needed to have a reinforcement for my patients for what I was teaching every single person for 20 years. I just needed to sum it up. And I always thought of when I told the same story in practice, because I'm sure you have these stories that you tell to hundreds and thousands of patients, and you wish you just have a piece of paper that you can give them. So I wanted something so they can have that replay in their head. They can go to page 46 and be able to say, hey, roll a tennis ball under your feet to relax your feet every day, or just eat a freaking salad.
Yeah. Here's something funny. Something funny. I'm just grabbing something off the floor here. So I got this little ball that I'm rolling under my foot as we're talking right now. Right.
That's it. These simple habits that a lot of people know, but not everybody knows.
Yeah.
And if somebody, I say this in practice all the time, if somebody described the life of habits that I have now to me 20 years ago, to my 20-year-old self, I would not believe how I'd be living my life. I would bash them and say, that's crazy. There's no way I'm giving up Chinese food and pizza every day. There's no way I'm meditating. There's no way I'm getting 7.5 hours sleep and going to bed early and waking up at 4:45. But what happened is over 20 years, I learned these principles. And basically, it seems like everybody in our space, in this health space, is actually saying the same thing. Now, everybody has a different voice. Everybody will be attracted to a different voice. And I wanted people to learn from my perspective how to implement these goals, because I implemented all these things over 20 slow years, but you can do it much faster. Most of these habits I implemented over 5 or 6 years under some coaching that I was doing. And What I wanted to do is not have the science behind it, not get into statistics and everything. Just tell people flat out, this is what you should do, or these are the options for you. And if you follow these little steps, little bit by bit, your life is just going to get better. And the tool I use so you can grade yourself and how you're doing is called a health report card. So you literally give yourself a report card. For anybody that did really crappy in school, maybe they're not going to like this. So you can skip the report card. But what the health report card is, giving yourself a grade in diet, like an A, B, C, B+, whatever it is. I give you some guidelines on how to grade yourself, sleep, connectedness, are you connecting with yourself, your alignment, your posture. Give yourself all these grades and give yourself an honest HPA, health point average. I have a tool on my website where you can calculate that and give yourself a real HPA. And then work on one thing, work on the lowest grade that will have the biggest impact in your life. And that's it. Don't work on everything. Just work on that one thing that will give you that little extra juice that will change your life little bit by bit.
That's so cool. And you know this, and I know this, and I think people listening probably innately know this, that when they start to change that one thing, the other things will start to be a little bit easier to do or a lot easier to do.
Absolutely. Because the most important thing to change is your intention.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Oh yeah, totally. So I'm going to do another little plug here for Jason. So we're going to be doing, or I'm not, he is giving away the first 3 sections of this book. Right, we'll have that in the show notes, all the details. So he's giving a little giveaway. I'll give you a little bit of a taste of what you actually could expect. Because if you like what you're hearing now, it's a guarantee that you're probably going to get the book. So in the show notes, remember, lifestylelocker.com/Jason Piken. And I'll have it in the show notes, so don't worry. All right. Sorry, Jason. I like doing little commercials here for you.
Thanks.
Hey, listen, when I get to connect with people like yourself, I connect, in a selfish reason so I can learn, but also in a selfish reason more for the planet, for the humanity, so everybody else can learn. So I'm very grateful to give, And
right back at you, I'm happy that I'm getting to get onto a show that people actually listen to. Good.
So let's keep moving. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So you have something on your website, as I've been stalking you, called Your Pillars of Health. And your pillars of health fit right in line with, what I practice and I preach and I share as well. And you talk about the physical health, the chemical health, and the emotional health. My question to you, and we can dive in a little bit into each one if you want, but my question to you is, do you have I get different answers, different priority order for them, for people? And listen, I don't think there's any wrong answer. I think they're just different answers.
Yes. That's a tough answer because I really do believe that the emotion should come first. Mm-hmm. And it's the simplest to work on, yet the most difficult to take. It's one step that you have to take, but it's a big step. It's a gigantic step. So if you're really, truly ready to take the emotional step first, that's where you should go. Not that chemical and physical are less important at all. Yet, if you have a motivating why and energy behind the actions you'll take, and that all comes from the emotion, everything else will be easier. Yet, if you don't want to take that huge step and work on your emotional self just as of yet, just exercising or getting to a chiropractor, an applied kinesiologist, somebody to get you adjusted, getting that physical stress out of your body and working on the tone of your body will help. Just working on the foods you eat or a couple of supplements to take will start taking you in the right direction. So you can get it from any angle, but if you have that motivating why, that intention, it's easier. It doesn't seem difficult. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and just so for those of you that are listening, I know we're kind of maybe talking maybe a little, I don't want to say sciencey, but a little like shop talk with the physical, chemical, and emotional. So emotional is an easy one for everybody to understand, right? That's our mindset, our mind space, how we think and how we, which obviously creates our action. The physical you get. But the chemical, for when I talk to my patients, if I mention this word like chemical, what chemical do I have? Am I having like bug spray? I mean, like, what's going on? No, the chemistry of the human body, when you start focusing, like with the nutrition you said, is that's where we really, that's where the chemical comes into play, which you tend to be I would call an expert in this field with all of your practice and your studying. And so there's certain things, because I know this has got to be somewhat of a passion for you, right? At this point.
It is.
Yeah.
And like you said before, it started off as self-serving.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to fix myself. And I don't want to sit down here, whatever we're doing here, and sit and say that I'm perfect because I have these habits and I don't have any problems. I absolutely know that every single person that your viewers listen to or see up on stage or subscribe to has their own crap. Yeah. They have their own issues. Yet you can get better from learning from all of them.
Exactly. So is there something that, I mean, I know you're like the digestive guy, you're very, very knowledgeable in this, in the digestive system, gut health, I guess is the term that's used now in that world.
Right.
Is there something you're seeing a lot of show up more now in your practice because of the quality of the food? I mean, you're in New York City like me. So, I mean, the stressors there are very different, I think, than maybe, 35 miles away from the city. But are you seeing any particular kinds of, I won't say the word conditions, but things that are going on in people's healths, gut-wise?
I believe that you kind of attract into your office what you're experiencing or what you're studying at that moment. Yeah. So what I tend to be pulling into my practice right now is a lot of acid reflux, burping, belching, and SIBO, which stands for small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is the largest cause of acid reflux and a lot of chronic GI symptoms. So I tend to attract that right now because that's what I've been studying for the past year. Okay.
And prior to that, was it similar types of things or was it different over the past year? I'm just curious, but I want to kind of dive into something here because I want to figure,
Yeah, the difficult thing about my practice is I went against everybody's advice and never picked a specialty because I kept finding chronic issues with people that came to me and were just lost and they just needed some answers. And in the end, 80% of any problem will be fixed if you fix your habits. Yeah. So I chose not to specialize. Yet, when I really started delving into a few years back, brain gut health and the connection between the chemistry of the brain, the neurotransmitters that run the brain, and the healthiness of the gut, the microbiome, which are all the bugs that live in and on our body, especially the ones that live in the gut. Yes. It just seemed to have the biggest impact besides chiropractic. Mm-hmm. And those two intermesh so well. Yeah. And people still come to me as a chiropractor, so they're confused. Because they come to me with that knee pain or that hip pain or that back pain. And, they expect a chiropractor because they were referred by other chiropractic patients. Yet we start explaining to them or showing them through applied kinesiology testing that everything's connected and just opens their eyes for the first time.
Yeah. So, exactly. That's why the physical, chemical, emotional things fall into play so well because they're all really interconnected. Yes. Your chiropractic practice with your brain gut health. I mean, that would only make sense if you're taking care of your nutrition, you're going to heal. Right?
That's it. And most people are so mixed up because they've been in a system where they go to this specialist, that specialist. I don't know how many times you've had this on your podcast where people have spoken about this, but you see this every day in practice, I'm sure. Yeah. They've gone to 5 different specialists and what they need is kind of a generalist, somebody that will take 10 steps back and look at them. And now, luckily, we at least have functional medicine practitioners. I really, truly believe the original functional medicine practitioners, well, if we go really far back, it was B.J. Palmer. Yeah. And really, he integrated everything.
Yeah, the developer of chiropractic, of course.
Yes. The modern one was really Dr. George Goodhart, the founder of Applied Kinesiology. And how I learned about the health of the entire body was that, this triangle of physical, chemical, emotional through applied kinesiology and how it taught us that every single thing is tied together. And it showed you that there's this biofeedback system a system where you can ask the body, not ask the mouth, because only 9% of the nervous system has the capability of feeling anything. Yeah. So we can't just hear the symptoms of the body, but if you have a conversation with the body through manual muscle testing, and I don't know how deep you want to get into this and explaining that, but you can get this biofeedback where the patient can explain to me exactly what's going on inside their body. And if you combine that with their history and their habits and their blood chemistry and their, SIBO test, whatever it is, then you got a big picture, and you can have a real comprehensive plan. Yeah,
like taking care of their health, and I joke with people with the name of our office that our name, it doesn't say health center, it says life center. We're here to actually help you with your life. I know you may have come here with, this or that, but when we look at the whole picture, I mean, that's you're saying it in a much more elaborate way than I do. But it's so neat to see that there are other chiropractors that are doing what you're doing when we kind of can have the principles which we were kind of brought up with, but we can kind of take that, like you said, 10 steps back. I used the word 50,000 foot view of that human being, but 100 years ago, food, as we all know this, right? Food was different. Yeah. People are like, well, why do I have to eat X? I'm like, you're really going to ask me why you shouldn't eat like Chinese food and pizza every day? Really? I mean,
well, they see other people that they hang out with, and they see them eating and having no problems, but they actually have problems, most of them. They're just not talking about their problems.
Yeah.
And especially in America, nobody wants to hear about your problems. I remember my grandmother, she came from Poland, and a Holocaust survivor. And she came here, and she once told me, she's like, Jason, don't ever ask anybody how they feel, because in this country, it's just BS. They don't really want to know.
Yeah.
When I first came here, somebody asked me how I felt. I told them. Yeah. and it depressed them, and they didn't want to be my friend anymore. Yeah. So just don't even ask it.
True. So let's circle back real quick to the brain gut health. So with you're doing your applied kinesiology testing, you're doing blood testing with work, and how are you? I guess this is the approach, but how are you kind of, on your website, you talk about, just right on there, I'm looking at, the ditch the purple pill, right? For acid reflux. How are you, you don't need to tell any trade secrets, right? Any of these things, but what kind of approach would you like, I come in right now, I'm like, I'm belching, I have this, acid reflux. What do I do? What are the steps that we would take together as a team?
First, I'd love to give you trade secrets, because if this gets out to more people, fantastic.
Awesome.
Right? The number one thing that people are not looking for when they Google acid reflux, when they look for all these things, is the physical. People are taking either acid reducers, which I have strong opinions against, except in emergencies. And like we should always say, you have to speak to a doctor. You shouldn't make any decisions on your own on whether you should take something or not. But I believe in finding the proper acidity for the gut, taking the right nutrients, eating the right foods, taking the right supplements. But the thing that people miss so often is that structural connection. And there is nothing I've patented. It's something a piece of this I learned from Dr. Goodhart, the founder of Applied Kinesiology, is the secret is you have to look to the jaw. I can't tell you how many times this correlates. It's at minimum a 90% correlation to some type of jaw malfunction. People call it TMJ, but it's really TMD. Temporal mandibular dysfunction. Everybody has a couple TMJs. Those are temporal mandibular joints. But they have a jaw problem. Now, whether they know about the jaw problem or not is something different, because here's the story I tell just about everybody. The jaw is one of the most important joints in the body neurologically, because if you think about it, if it doesn't work, you don't eat, you die. So the innate intelligence of our body will protect us by trying to realign the jaw, try to not let us know about a jaw problem by tweaking the muscles around our neck. The front and back of the neck muscles will all misalign to keep that jaw in line. And what will happen is you'll put stress, especially in the middle of your neck. Now, the three important bones in the middle of the neck, not that there's an unimportant bone, are C3, 4, and 5. They innervate or give life force, nerve innervation to the diaphragm muscle. Now, the diaphragm is intimately related to not only breathing, but the health of your stomach, because vast majority of people that have acid reflux have a problem with the sphincter that separates the esophagus, the tube you swallow food down, and your stomach. And very often there's at least tension, knots, some malfunction in the diaphragm that could be as serious as a hiatal hernia or just causing restrictions in and adhesions and problems with that sphincter. So the jaw can actually very commonly cause problems with the stomach. And why does our jaw have malfunctions besides physical traumas and getting punched in the jaw? Well, when we're stressed, we clench. There's so many people that clench their teeth at night, that grind their teeth at night, that, sometimes they don't even know it because it's happening in the middle of the night. And if you're not in pain in your jaw, well, then you're not sure of it, but your dentist might have told you. And there's a really high correlation I see with relieving the stress around the neck, relieving the stress around the jaw, relieving stress of the diaphragm muscle itself, and sometimes through the thoracic spine, and that having a huge impact on acid reflux. And by the way, the diaphragm shares connective tissue or fascia with your hip flexors, your psoas muscles. So I also see the jaw and acid reflux causing hip flexor tightness. So many people say, I have tight hips, I have tight hips, I have tight hips. Or, I feel like an old man getting up from a chair. Mm-hmm. That could be coming from their jaw. And if you take this holistic view of just the physical part of the body, let alone everything else, I think that'll help another big chunk of anybody listening to this.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's so different, right? We're taught to, it hurts here, fix here. It hurts there, fix there. Not, and I love that you said that only 9% of the central nervous system deals with how we feel. That is such a powerful thing. And for those of you that have, it's maybe the first podcast you're listening to, I hope it's not, but if it is, your central nervous system, is your brain and your spinal cord, right? They're two very important things. I mean, that all of us rely on. It's the thing, the last thing that they measure when someone is unfortunately dying, right, is brain function, is brain waves, right? Shuts down.
Right.
So if we're only focusing our health and our longevity and our life on 10%, what are we going to get out of life?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'm so glad you said that. I mention it all the time to patients. So it's good to see that I hear from another voice as well.
The word's out. I probably read it in like your dad's book like 20 years ago or something like that.
There's a possibility. Who knows, right? Awesome. So let's see. What else can we talk about? What are you excited about now? I know you said you're really into this. The brain gut thing is a new thing the past years, or anything like really new that's like on the tip of your tongue you want to get out, or you're doing something new in the near future that you got to share with people?
Well, I guess I'm really excited about the Digestion Diaries. I decided I'm not the right person for a podcast. I love to contribute to other people's podcasts, but I applaud you because it takes so much work to do what you're doing, to get guests to come on here, all the emails you have to send, all the prep that you have to do, all the equipment. You said you have like 12 screens in front of you. And then the post-production. There's a lot that goes into that. Yeah. And if I still need to focus my energy on treatment so often and studying so often, but I wanted to disseminate information. So I found my own way of disseminating that information in my point of view. It's called the Digestion Diaries. It's a vlog. I just spend anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes talking about my digestive issues that I've had, my wife's, patients' examples. I talk about wins. I talk about losses and struggles, because I think those are all really important things. And people just need a digestible, so to say, way of getting this information in without going to these books. I've read so many books on health, and I'm great with them, but I picture myself being this layperson and trying to read this book and wanting to, ignore half of what's in there because it's just way too much. So what I try to do in the Digestive Diaries is bring it down to, my level, where I can understand it easily. Yeah. Yes. Because I love listening to the brains. They're great. I'm not saying I'm dumb, but I like to translate it into something manageable.
Good. So that's, and that you're going to find that on your website, right?
Yeah.
On drjasonpiken.com. Is that on a YouTube channel also or no?
Yeah, it's a part of the YouTube, my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And you can get the link from my website.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, I think this is really good. I think you're giving a ton of knowledge here. So here's the last 3 questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's really only one question. You're going to give 3 answers.
3 answers. Okay.
So I look for our interviewees to share something, some action steps that the listeners can take home today and actually do today. And if not today, maybe, I hate to use the word tomorrow because that usually never shows up for most people in their health and their life. But action steps that people can take now. I shoot for 3. Sometimes I get 4, 5, 6, but if there's like 3 things you can kind of give, and let's hear them.
Okay. I got 2 right away.
Good.
I'll come up with the 3rd, I think, as I keep speaking. So the first is something we already mentioned. Make a decision that you want to be better. That's it. It's once you set the energy of a decision, which means to cut off all other options. Once you make that decision that you are going to fix blank problem, it's already better because the universe will come to help you with that decision because you're not backtracking. You're not saying, I'm going to try to get this better. I think I'm going to 2 weeks from now. Once you draw that line and put your foot down, you are already better. You don't have to become better. You're just in the journey. So that's my first recommendation. Make a decision to change. Number 2 is get help. I'm on this SIBO discussion group on Facebook. It's this private group. It's kind of easy to join, but there's 22,000 members, and it's daunting the amount of information out there. I joined it to try to help out and throw in my 2 cents here and there with people. But I just came across a comment yesterday of somebody that's suffering, and there were 199 replies.
Wow.
Half of them were just, I feel for you. And so that makes that person feel good that they have love out there. The other half were take this, try this, do this. And it's overwhelming the amount of information that we have available to us right now. It's even overwhelming to me. And this is all I do.
Yeah.
I feel like an idiot every single time I listen to something new or read a new book, which is good.
Yeah. Because
I realize there's more to learn. But what you have to do is you have to have somebody working with you that can keep you on track. And whether it's a coach, a life coach, a health coach on that decision, or whether it's a practitioner like you or I that works on your health, you need to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of and not have 10 doctors and not have 100 opinions on Facebook. But pick one person that you trust. Hopefully you can understand that they don't know everything and that they're flawed too. But work with them and choose to work with them, because when I work with people long-term, when they say, yes, let's do this and let's figure this thing out, I'm going to do everything in my power to be on their side. And sometimes that means referring to other people, but you have to do that. The 3rd, let's follow up on the first.
Okay.
You made a decision, freaking just do something now. So I heard about this from Wayne Dyer. A lot of people know who Wayne Dyer is, one of the greatest public speakers, motivational speakers, whatever you want to call it, gurus out there. He was speaking about The Secret, that book that became a video, that became a worldwide sensation. He spoke about the flaw in The Secret, in that he spoke of The Secret as being this thing that said, if you set your intention, you will have wonderful things happen to you. And what he thought that they missed was he didn't say to jump up right now and take some action. You don't necessarily need to take massive action, the Tony Robbins massive action. That's great if you do. Mm-hmm. If you have that energy and that motivation and you want that massive action, fantastic. You're going to blow away and change your life quickly. Just make sure you don't burn out. What I write in my book is it's okay to take a step. But if you don't take the step, if all you do is set your intention and you don't actually move and do something, it's not going to work.
Exactly. The action step, key.
Yeah.
Once you make that decision. Awesome. So everybody, Dr. Jason Piken, I'm going to give you an applaud here. That was awesome. So thank you so much. Any last words you'd like to say?
I think you pulled everything out of me.
Perfect. Good. I'm glad I did, because I really enjoyed this, and I enjoyed snooping on your website and going through everything about you. I find you're a very, very neat, interesting practitioner that's very close to me, which is very cool. So now I can start.
2 blocks away.
I know. How cool is that, right? But grateful to have you on. I hope your listeners, your audience, actually will get to this as well. And I appreciate you, and I know Lifestyle Locker, our little crew here in Locker Nation, will love this podcast. So thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Locker Nation, what up, peeps? Listen, I want to let you know I have some gratitude for you and appreciation for you for listening to these episodes. But first and foremost, how awesome is Dr. Jason Piken? I know you want to get his ebook. I know you want to maybe follow him socially online. Maybe even go to his office. I don't know. All those details will be available at lifestylelocker.com/Jason Piken. And if you're not there, and this is published, because it will be if you're listening to it, right? You'll be able to find it on social media. You'll be able to find it on Facebook.com/Lifestyle Locker. It will be posted there with the rest of our podcasts. So, Locker Nation, appreciate you. Why don't you go ahead and give us a 5-star review, because we sure as hell love those. And we'll see you next time, all right? Bye-bye.